Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and their most welcome guests. Why are you here? Why are you sitting in this room listening to me? Did you know I was speaking today? Did you know about my topic?
No.
Yeah. Maybe, but probably not, I'm guessing. We don't do a lot of advertising at Toastmasters for the speeches. You show up to a Toastmasters meeting and hear speeches. But just like every member of every other audience, you all have your own reasons for being here. You have decided, for whatever reason, to come here and invest your time and your interest in what is going to be presented today. Now you have to understand that a presentation at its core is a service where a presenter offers something, typically information, more often than not, to a group of clients, the audience. So it becomes very, very important to understand why that audience not only first comes to the presentation, but what they hope to get from it. What do they hope to get from it? So in order to be a successful public speaker, you always have to ask yourself the question, why am I speaking to this audience? Or, as was noted in my introduction, why is this audience listening to me? And that includes not only just coming to the room, but being engaged at the beginning and then listening throughout the presentation. So today I'm going to share some information with you that's going to explain why audiences do in fact listen, or in some cases do not listen. And I'm going to do it by explaining 3 points. I'm going to talk about the topic and content of the presentation. Then I'm going to talk about the speaker themselves. And then I'm going to talk about some other reasons why people may come to your presentation and listen or not. Topic and content. This is king when it comes to any presentation. It is the #1 reason that people tend to show up. And audiences come to a presentation with their own needs in mind. They have a WIFM. What's in it for me? Why am I going to invest my time, my interest, and if you're paying to go to the presentation, your money to listen to that speaker talk about that topic? So generally it is the topic that generates the interest to get you in the room, and then it is the content that is the payoff to the audience members. And that's what they're looking for. They're actually looking for a net benefit. If I come into this room and listen to this 1-hour presentation, am I going to gain something, such as information that's going to help me in my work, in my personal life, whatever it may be? You are going to look for something that when you leave this room, you are going to have something that you didn't have when you arrived. And that is key. And like all human beings, audience members want to do it with the least amount of effort, which does not include sleeping. That does not work. So audiences look for 3 things when they're coming to a presentation for the content. First of all, they want the organization. They want it to be well organized, because I can tell you from many, many, many experiences as an audience member, if you are not well organized and your presentation is confusing to me and I have to work to understand it, I'm going to tune out. So the first thing I'm looking for is good organization, a nice natural flow to the presentation. Then audience members are looking for expression. Human beings get bored easily. If there was somebody up here speaking like a robot with a monotone, standing without any body language, good choice of words, phrasing, maybe some humor, human beings get bored. They want variety. At a basic level, any presentation is a performance. Human beings want to be thrilled, amazed, captivated. Think about presentations that you've seen that have done that. And you said, this has been a good use of my time. Because hopefully you were informed and at some level entertained. And the third thing that audiences look for is proper support. Proper support. Is the information credible? Is the speaker credible? Can I trust this information? Was there good sources being quoted to support the argument? If it's a persuasive speech, did the speaker actually share their opinion and share it in a way that was able to convince you to at least respect their point of view? And better yet, did they go out into the world and find other opinions which strengthened their position so that you understood it. So if there's not good support for the material that you've provided, audiences don't see the credibility and they won't use it. So it will not provide the net benefit. Let's talk about the speaker. Sometimes the speaker is the most important reason that people show up to a presentation. First of all, you may have a connection to the speaker. We're all Toastmasters. I know that's why you're in this room. We're connected. You didn't know necessarily that I was speaking today. You didn't know the topic, but you're here because you're Toastmasters. So we know what to expect. So that connection established my audience today. It could be the occasion. I'll give you an example of this. For whatever reason, my mother-in-law loves to watch the Queen's message on New Year's Day. She doesn't pay much attention to the Queen any other time, but on that day, she wants to hear the Queen's message. Now, I've heard a couple of these. These are not earth-shattering speeches. You don't learn a lot from these speeches, but it's an occasion. It's an occasion, and so my mother-in-law invests her time into watching the Queen deliver that message. It could be based on reputation. How else would you explain Charlie Sheen's recent comedy tour? I like to think of it more in terms of Nelson Mandela. I believe that many of us would show up to have Nelson Mandela tell us how to cook cupcakes. It doesn't have to be the topic that he's most famous for. It's Nelson Mandela. We'll listen to him talk about anything based on his reputation. Or it could be the speaker's style. There are speakers that you want to watch speak just because of the style that they're known for. Yes, it's part of reputation, but with Steve Jobs, for example, he's known as a really cool speaker who talks about really cool things. And he has a style where if you're serious about emulating his style, people have written books about Steve Jobs' speaking style. So I can almost guarantee you that he could be introducing a paperclip and people would show up to one of his presentations. And finally, what are some of the other reasons that people will come into a room and listen to you? Well, they were expected to be there. Your boss is giving a presentation. Maybe you wrote the presentation for him. You know all the material. It's basically going to be a waste of your time, but he wants you in that room. So you're expected to be there. How many have done this? I'm going to go to this presentation this afternoon because I don't want to do what I'm supposed to do. I got this boring task and I have an opportunity to go to some executive doing a presentation down in the lobby or the cafeteria here. I don't really want to go, but it's a better alternative than what I need to do. Or worse, and you can think of a Toastmasters speech contest like this, maybe at the area, division, district. They came to hear somebody else. And you happen to be the first speaker, and the one you really want to hear is number 3. So they're going to tolerate your speech while they're waiting for the person they really came to hear. The good news is, even with these reasons, if you're the speaker, they're still in the room. There's still an audience. So you still have an opportunity to provide content and style. Give them a net benefit, even though they weren't looking for it, and build your reputation. So maybe instead of coming the next time just because of the topic, they'll come just because it's you doing the speaking. And why is my voice going up? I feel like a teenager again. So in summary, first and foremost, audience members serve themselves. They're looking for their weapon. What's in it for me? The audience usually comes through the door motivated to listen to your presentation. They probably know the topic, so they have some idea of why they're in the room and what they're hoping to get out of it. It is content that is number 1. Usually the reason that people show up and what they actually want to get from the presentation, so it doesn't necessarily matter who the speaker is, but sometimes it does matter who the speaker is. And they will come just because it's that speaker. If it's content plus the speaker, double win. Or it could be something else. Something else where they really didn't even want to invest in your presentation, but they're still in the room, they're still part of the audience, so you still have an opportunity to win them over. And that's the key. Once speakers understand why audiences are in the room and what motivates them to listen, you can then win them over, have them listen from beginning to end, have them walk out of that room and say, that was a great presentation. I learned so much in his style. You usually don't see speakers like that, especially in a workplace. That's what you want. When you hear that type of chatter out of the hall, you know that you've won, they've won, and it's a good presentation. Madam Toastmaster.